What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect That Film, where we dissect your favorite films, film franchises, and TV. Today is a very special episode of the podcast. No, it isn't episode 51. No, this isn't the 1-year anniversary podcast that you guys were all expecting. But it's something on even par to that. I don't want to say better because then I feel like we're downgrading that amazing show we did on Sunday that no one's going to see unless you were there. But I figured this is a show that I wanted to start at some point, and I figured why not now, where I sit down with some of my amazing friends that I've met before the podcast and during the podcast, where we kind of just sit down, talk about what they're doing in their lives, their favorite movies and all that stuff. And yeah, and I figured why not start with the man who, when you listen to the podcast and you listen to the intro and the outro, you hear some amazing tunes. Those tunes are created by the man himself right here in front of me, the legend, Darkraizard. Welcome to the show, my friend.
What's going on, man? I am absolutely honored to be asked.
The honor is all mine, man, because I mean, we've been friends for a bit now, probably around like almost 2 years now.
Oh, 6 years of high school,
right? We're like Van Wilder, but in high school,
yeah, at least January of 2020, so a little over 2 years.
Yeah, and it's been a wild ride for me and for you through the craziness that is content creation.
Yep, lots of big ups and very bad downs.
Yeah, well,
but I wouldn't have it any other way, man.
Well, that's good,
But yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, you asked me, hey, you want to? Yeah, it doesn't even matter what it is. If it's something with Parker, I'm there.
That always warms my heart,
Yeah,
when I ask somebody and they're like, "Hell yeah," and I'm like, oh, somebody likes me.
Yeah, you can ask me, "Hey, Dark, we're gonna go sit on a bench and get shit on by pigeons and split a shit sandwich." I'm there, man. It's just if I'm with Parker, I'm there.
I mean, isn't that usually what happens when we play Fortnite together?
Yeah, well, we're not getting shit on by pigeons. We're getting shit on by 12-year-olds. But yeah, kind of the same thing.
It's in the same vein. We might as well sit on the bench and get shit on by pigeons.
Yeah, pigeons and 12-year-olds are kind of the same thing. They're those annoying things that you want to smack, but you're just legally not allowed to. So
right. So Dark, you are a very talented man. You do a lot of
some
things.
would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say it. And I know other people's. Yes, words are hard.
Words are very hard. Why waste time with my word? Few words.
For anybody who listens to this podcast, they know that I don't know how to talk. Yet I try to do it, multiple times a week. But yeah, you're a very talented man. You create your own music, which is all DMCA free, which means no pesky studio or label can slap you with a fine or pull down your videos. This man makes music for free. I mean, he literally does it for free and literally gives it to the people.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not. I don't make my own music. I make music for you guys. It's an absolute honor to give you guys. I mean, yeah, I absolutely love doing it. I'm going to do it for another 30 years. At least I have to, because somebody owns 5% of the rights for my stuff for 30 years. So yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Right. There you go. So how long have you been playing music? Like before?
Oh man. I want to say I started in like 6th grade. Yeah, 6th grade I started playing guitar. And it's just been a snowball effect then of just, if there's music in it, I'm involved in it. And it's a double-edged sword because it's a beautiful thing. I love creating. It gives you this wild extension of yourself that you're allowed to show people that's different than talking to somebody or, even being on camera. It's a whole different part of your soul. You get to share it with people. But at the same time, it's a lot of something people don't talk about a lot with creating music is you get kind of lost now when you listen to stuff. So you don't listen to music the same anymore.
Right.
Everything is very, you're comparing yourself, you're learning from other songs. Like you can't just sit down and enjoy so much anymore. So it is kind of a double-edged thing, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
I mean, I've attempted to play instruments throughout my life. I I remember
I'm doing the same thing.
I mean, at least you're still going with it. I've kinda just was like, "Yeah, maybe someday." Play it. I played guitar a little bit. I played, bass a little bit in high school. That was probably the one I was most passionate about. But the biggest thing for me, especially I think starting in like middle school, was singing. I
Yeah,
I loved to sing, and I would put on like concerts for myself, like when I was a kid, and you
I
know,
did the
uh,
same thing with a guitar.
yeah, it's like one day maybe I'll do it in front of people. And I remember doing like talent shows in middle school, and in high school I was in a band, which my band was called 5150, which you would
My
appreciate,
guy, I do
right?
appreciate it.
Um, because I'm a huge Van Halen fan. I mean, I was obsessed. Like it was Van Halen and Ozzy. Those were like the two. I had like all the albums, listening to them hardcore, trying to sing like
Nonstop.
Sammy because I couldn't sing like David Lee Roth because that dude is just his voice was just so
Hell,
wacky. Whereas was
David
like,
Lee Roth can't even sing like David Lee Roth, so it's all right.
he's like 75 years old now.
Yeah.
Still trying. He's still
No,
trying.
I'm right there with you, man. It was, well, first of all, we got to clear the air that it was Van Hagar, which I
Right,
know you're
right.
going to agree with me on.
Nope. Nope.
And
I
I did
completely
love
agree.
some Ozzy, but I had 3 albums on repeat, like from 3rd grade to, well, till last week, really. Van Halen's 5150, Rush's 2112, Metallica's Black Album. Like those are
Mhm.
what I just grew up on. And to this day, I don't get sick and tired of hearing those songs.
I mean, I probably could count on both hands how many times I've done Nothing Else Matters in shows in high school.
Oh, well, you're in for a treat on Friday.
It's great. It's such a good song. And
Yeah, it's coming to the
uh,
list on Friday.
oh, I'm very excited. Very excited to hear that. So, what made you decide to start making the DMCA free music?
Well, I got on Twitch in January of 2020. Well, it was like the last week of December, but I didn't. I streamed with like a picture of my dog sitting there, so it wasn't even me. I was just playing Smash. I was so nervous. And then when I started getting into it, I realized like a couple days in, maybe like right before my first affiliated stream, I played. I think it was like some Trivium music because I knew Matt Heafy from Trivium was on the platform, and I
Mhm.
always knew copyright strikes were a thing. I've been around YouTube long enough, but
Right.
my one of my first VODs, like the whole video was muted. So when I researched it and saw, because I would have thought, copyright strikes won't apply to something live because I'm not making money off the music. If anything, the way I see it as a person with a normal brain on like a record company, you're getting free promotion from content creators if they're playing an album on your, like you might have somebody come, wow, I haven't listened to Trivium forever. Let me go buy a record. Or
Right.
let me pull them up on Spotify. I'm not
Right.
making any money because I'm listening to it. Like these
Right.
record companies didn't get it.
No.
So
They
I
still don't
started.
get
I
it.
No, they don't, and that's why I love seeing more and more people get on this train because maybe soon we'll be able to get them to come to a realization that small artists matter. And I got some other stuff we could talk about in a minute. We'll get into that. Um, so I wrote my own intros and outros because the big thing was I wanted to have music at the start and then at least at the end when I was getting ready to raid out that wasn't copyright strike and I just didn't play music. So I put that out, and that's where High Noon was born. What became to be one of your favorite songs, I think.
It
And
it's the longest song you've ever written, and it's my probably my favorite. I have it
and
in like, I listen to it every day. It's
And the reason it's so long is I wanted something that could give me that like 7 to 8 minutes to get ready. Because back then when I was streaming in like full cowboy attire, I had like a green screen behind me. I had the whole, you remember it. It was this whole
Oh, yeah.
mess. But I had to go like get into character, get the bolo tie on. I even wore the cowboy boots while I was sitting in the chair. So I had to have something long and girthy enough to maintain that whole section. And then I also used it for like highlight videos for Call of Duty tournaments. So it had to be something long.
Right.
And then I put that out, and you guys, everybody just ate it up. They were like, I want this. What is this? Where'd you find this? It's mine. And everybody kept saying, you should, let me get one. And then, would you write something for me? Or would you write something for me? Like all these different people ask us. So I was like, you know what? And I think it was like January of 2021, a year later, I put out the High Noon Saloon album. And within days, it became very clear Harris Heller's not the only one on the market that could write songs and get people to listen to them. And I would like to help fill that void. You're sick of Harris Heller? Well, here's some fresh stuff for you to listen to. And now we're
Right.
here 15 albums later.
Yeah. which was kind of how it went for me because I used to listen to Harris Heller's stuff, and then when you dropped all those albums, I was like, well, I guess I mean this is it because you only had the High Noon at the time, and I was
Hmm.
still listening to Harris Heller, and I was like, well, of course I'm going to add this to the you know to the playlist. But then you then you went and dropped 11 albums in like one day or
Yeah,
like 1 week or
yeah.
something. It was like, well, there we go. Okay, see you later.
Yeah, everybody kept asking me, and I had been sitting on stuff and sitting. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't really understand how putting me like making money off, like because don't get it twisted. I do get paid from you guys listening to it. I'll never. It's free for you guys to use, but I do get paid per stream. So I never understood how any of that worked, and everybody kept asking us because you know what? I got like 6 albums worth of stuff sitting around,
Right.
and then here's a whole bunch of music, and everybody just ate it up. So here we are. We keep going, and if 16, 17, and 18 are already ready to go, they'll be
Ooh.
coming out soon.
Ooh, it's very exciting. I mean, you definitely all artists should be getting paid for their music being on Spotify. It's you know the
They
amount of
should
work that
be.
you and other artists have to put in to
It's a
create
lot.
this
It's a
music. It's a
lot.
lot, and you're not getting. I mean, we're not paying you to do it. Like so for them to pay you is definitely
I mean, they
cool
do.
in
Then
my
it's
book.
it's not a lot, and I can get into that. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
know.
about the money. It was more so like I remember when I started, and a lot of people had the same thing. Sometimes you're streaming, and you don't know if one person's there or 10 people are there. Sometimes chat's not super active. Sometimes your friends can't be there to game with you and just have an emptiness. No sound in your headphones other than your own voice could be very deterring. So just a little beat in the background can make a huge difference. It could it could break the nerves, let you come out of your shell a little bit, because then you're not just sitting there with silence in your headphones. And to me, that's like I wanted to step in and help fill that role and not make music that was so overpowering to the talking. Where I think
Right.
is where I kind of separated myself from Harris Heller a little bit. If you want something that's intrusive and banging and bumping, I have it. But if you also want this stuff that's like, this is a big, this is a chill thing, I'm talking a lot, that's there for you too.
You gotta love the variety.
Hmm.
There's even some 8-bit stuff
Jack of
in
all
there.
trades, master of none.
So, you've had quite a journey in your couple years being on Twitch. What got you started and just kind of go through your little journey uh, from the beginning until now.
Well, I grew up watching just not grew up, I should say. I was in my 20s, but like Justin TV, watching Ninja in his early phase and Dr. Disrespect back in Modern Warfare 2. And I remember being there in the streams when Tim the Tatman was streaming in his apartment with his webcam taped to his wall. So I always knew this world existed, but I never knew how accessible it was until some buddies got in and they were like, a lifelong friend, a guy I've known for 20 years, sends me a text. He's like, "Hey, I'm live. Why don't you come hang out and play Smash Brothers with us?" I'm like, "How are you guys live?" I thought this was like an inaccessible, like an exclusive thing.
Right.
And I came in and they were having a great time. I'm like, "Man, this seems like a lot of fun." So I was at Best Buy. I can't even remember what I was doing. I like to go to Best Buy sometimes just to waste money. We all do.
Right.
And they had an AverMedia bundle sitting there with like a capture card, a webcam, a microphone, some software for 129 bucks. It's like let's try this thing out. And yeah, I bought that and I streamed on like it was like New Year's Eve. I think I streamed. I played some Overwatch and Rocket League. I said with like a picture of the dog in there instead of the camera. I didn't even talk to anybody. I was so nervous about it. And then like just something like it went live like the next day. I was like, let's do this. And then people started showing up and it's been uh it's been an amazing journey since then to think like the highs and the lows and getting affiliated, meeting John, and then John brought me to you, and you introduced me to Feld, and like there's just a snowball of amazing people that have come and gone throughout the 2.5 years. Not I shouldn't say gone, but some people have lives, but
Right.
just to where I am now, to taking breaks and like struggling with the balance of work life and streamer life and streamer life and relationships and
Mhm.
just to all kind of accumulate and bring me to where I am now as a full-time, content creator it's been a humbling experience, to say the least.
No, I mean, it's always great. It's I love listening to people's like where they where they started because it's always You get some very different stories, but they all seem very similar. Because
I
it's
think it
like,
is. It's always they're all kind of like an underdog story.
yeah, it's like,
Like
man,
it's
I
it.
I had a laptop from, like, that was, like, 8 years old that I just kinda, I tried my best. Just
Yeah, my first setup was like this half-ass laptop that I ran my Xbox into a capture card into that, and I had this little half-ass L-shaped desk in the corner with like a 42-inch like a TV in there, and then like
Yes.
the little computer next to it to read chat. And it was like,
Yep.
and like I had a full-time job when I started. I used to make good money. So I quickly was like, this is fun. Let me go buy all the things. Let me go get all the things. And then the L-shaped desk turned into these main gears, and the 42-inch TV turned into, the Dell fucking 4K monitors. And eventually the webcam goes to the wayside and you buy a Sony mirrorless $900 camera, which was a waste of money. It's, I don't know, man. I wouldn't, it's been such an amazing experience to go from that to this. And just the people I met along the way it's some of the most humbling people I've ever met. You are one of them.
Me me I'm just here to look at your face.
Now I'm here to look at yours as well. So I mean the
Whoa!
feeling's mutual. No, I mean meeting you and John was like a life changing thing. I knew the second I met you guys, like those are guys that I'm probably gonna have around the rest of my life. Like it was pretty meeting John was probably the coolest way ever. I mean, that was awesome. But then when we met playing golf with friends, that was like, this is my dude right here. This is almost me.
Like, "Man, this guy gets mad at a lot of things."
Well, I was because we're sitting there playing and you're like, you're going off. I hadn't met you. I wasn't like when I first met John and he was inviting me to these things. I had a bad anxiety with gaming with people. And to be honest with you, I still do from time to time get anxiety about going live. And
Right.
I was very standoffish to new people, and John kept asking and asking and asking, like, come play some games with us, come play some games with us. I was finally like, all right, I'll come in. And I was just being very quiet. And you were raging. In my head, I'm doing the same thing because that golf game was pissing me off. Like, that game sucks. But you
Uh,
were guys that, I mean, you guys were very welcoming to me. And I mean, you guys are the ones that helped me really come out of my shell and get comfortable on Twitch and content creation and stuff. So I'm forever indebted to you guys for that.
well, I'm happy that I could help you, push you along there. Because now look at you, you're like, you're so big. I don't even know where I sit right
Hey, I'm
now.
trying
I'm
to
like,
lose weight.
"Oh, not that
No,
way."
I know. I'm just kidding.
Damn, no.
No, I mean the growing thing right now. I'm on a wild ride. It could end any day, but I mean I'm still glad that when I go live, I still got Forgiven John and Parker in there with swords next to their names. Those are my guys who got my back.
It's a great thing to have people around you that aren't like, because I think the biggest problem with communities, and not just like Twitch communities, but like just content creation communities, like you're gonna have toxic people that are gonna
Oh
try
yeah,
to use you for, as people would say, clout, which I hate that word. It's such a stupid word. But like, they're using you to try to get themselves
better themselves. Yeah,
right.
but in a in a
Which
in a in a ill mannered way. Yeah,
right, which
I'm.
the whole purpose is to kind of work together to get yourselves to the
Oh
kind of
yeah,
to I mean, you are the king of support in my eyes. Like, you talk about how you're always supporting, anyone who's live, even if somebody you just met that day, you're there supporting, um
I'll try
trying
my
to,
best.
yeah,
Yeah.
trying to help people, achieve their goals. And some of those people are going to take advantage, and you're going to find out quickly, or maybe sometimes it takes a little bit longer to figure it out. But that's kind of the way this whole thing goes. I know for me, I mean, I've been doing, I started streaming back in January of 2019, so a year before you did. And, it was a slow run, and, you know, anxiety and depression and stuff, it all, like, rushed in real fast, and, I took my breaks. I had to mentally, to help me mentally, and I think starting the podcast in, was it April? I mean, it's a year ago. April of
Yeah.
2021 was the biggest, like, was the biggest help for me when it came to my mental health
and
because it's
and
something I
that
wanted to do.
yeah, and that's one of the biggest things I always try to tell people. And yeah, you're gonna have like you'll I wouldn't say necessarily bad apples, but you're gonna have people who maybe don't even mean to have ill will in what they're doing. They just haven't, they haven't learned yet
Right.
that, as Kirk Hammett would say from the Black Album documentary, I like to take people to this place and then just really take them to this higher plateau.
Mm.
Like, I want to be there for everybody, and I will always see the best in somebody. They could burn me, and it's going to take my mods finally going, dude, you got to do something about this for me to like actually
Right.
step in and do something. But
Yeah.
I always try to tell people like, because the first thing I heard when I started streaming was Harris Heller, the stream doctor, say you're going to go through lots of revisions of yourself before you really naturally land on what sticks for you and what works for you. And I was like, nah, this guy's a buster. I'm going to be a cowboy forever. That didn't work. I went through the same thing. I went through breaks, like finding myself and finding myself. But once you actually find what it is that you're like, I wouldn't say good at, but meant to do on these platforms and on Twitch and on YouTube and on podcasts, it becomes so freeing and so joyful to do it. And like seeing you find your stride in podcasting and movie dissection, man, I can't tell you how happy I am to see you like just happy to be making content, man. And that's where I feel like I'm finally at. Like I found like what I like to do, and it feels so good.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. I mean, seeing you now, and unfortunately, where you are right now, unfortunately, had to start from unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
But the passion you have, you're not just doing it because of that circumstance. You're doing it because you're passionate about it, and you had people behind you that were like, you can do this,
Yes. I
which
couldn't
is
have done it
always the
without
best
them.
thing. And for me, it's always you always have the demon in the back of your head who's whispering, that bullshit, about,
Hmm.
hey man, like for me, for an example, is I mean, this week specifically, this past Sunday, we did our 1 year celebration. We streamed it live on Twitch, and
I was there.
yeah, Dark was there, as
It
he
was a
always
good time.
is.
Sorry, all you guys don't get to
Yeah.
see it
Sorry,
or hear
everybody.
it.
You just blame me. It's fine. I blamed myself. And we were having a great time, and we hadn't streamed anything for the show since the end of August of last year. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
So, streaming and recording at the same time just isn't something that's been, registered in my head. So we were having a great time, and about 40 minutes into the show, I looked down and I'm not recording
Oh,
it. I'm just
poo.
streaming. And then, of course, the Twitch channel for some reason doesn't have VODs turned on. And even if
Man,
and when you're in the middle of a stream, even if you turn them on, it's not gonna save it. So unfortunately, all of that fun we were having, is now, just memories. It's
lost to the ones and
yeah, for
zeros.
anyone who was there live, for me, and then of course DNA Gaming, being on the show, we have it in our head how fun it was. Unfortunately, we can't share it with everybody else who, you know, maybe doesn't do Twitch or whatnot. But we had a lot of fun. Let's just say that. But and for me, I had that demon in the back of my head that was telling me like you're letting people down by not putting out a podcast because like I've been so consistent with putting out podcast episodes every week, especially the core show, which is our weekly. We sit down, we talk about movie reviews, and I've been consistent every week for the last year of putting out a podcast episode. And I was like, the demon's telling me you're letting people down, you're letting people down. And so you go into that dark place. But to have
Yeah.
but to have people that are like, it's okay. It's fine. Like people
It
are
is okay.
it pumps people up for, because they're more anticipated on what's coming up. And I'm like,
Well, the
yeah,
comeback is always great.
right.
So
I mean, listen, I mean, I hope you guys enjoy, this. This is, of course, this will be releasing at the same time as those podcast episodes, and I hope you enjoy what we're doing here. I know it's not all talking about movies, which is what this channel is primarily focused on, but this is something that this was kind of
you're
short notice.
dissecting my life.
Exactly.
So it
So
still
it
fits.
makes sense. I mean, this was short notice. I did reach out to Dark like yesterday and asked if he wanted to be on the show. But this is something that I've actually had in my mind to do at some point because there's so many amazing people who not just have movie review podcasts, but like Dark, with his music because we use his music in our show in multiple shows. And we listen to his music. I listen to his music all the time. I know almost 15,000 people monthly
That's
listen to
true.
his
That's
music on
true.
Spotify. I have to throw that out there for you. So why not bring him on and have this conversation, and and this will set up if people enjoy this type of content, then I can go out and reach out to other people who maybe I haven't known as long, and bring them on and
And
do
get to know
some
them.
exactly and do something similar. Even
I
with DNA Gaming, who's been on the show since day one, I'd love to do an episode with them because like
yeah.
we've had the conversations before like we do here, but to do just to kind of have something a little bit of a different format is
Isolate it a
always
little
great.
more, yeah.
Right.
No, there's definitely nothing wrong with like you see it all the time, like all kinds of content creators, like Tim the Tatman will have all his Warzone gameplay and this, but then he has another channel or another like pot that he puts his hand in where it's
Mhm.
just chatting stuff or tier list breakdowns. And so branching out but staying in the same realm is
Yeah.
an absolutely fan. And again, like you instead of dissecting a film, you're dissecting a content creator, man. It's beautiful. I'm
Right.
having fun already. I feel like we're like an hour in already and we haven't even gone anywhere.
I do. I looked down at the recording time, like we've only been recording for that long. It feels like we've been talking for the last like two
Yeah.
hours, and it's great. This is, and this is my favorite thing. This is why I started the show because the whole thing was my favorite thing to do was to like I would watch a movie with my brother or my dad or even like a friend who's might not as be as passionate about movies as me, but still enjoys talking about them and just having the conversation, like watching a movie and just talking about it. And there's
Yep.
times where me and my brother will sit on the couch at my dad's house and watch a movie and just commentate over the movie. And that's why we started the show, was because we wanted to share our passion about, about film to everybody else, even though, yeah, there are thousands upon thousands of podcasts that do similar things. But it's always about putting your own little
Your touch
spice.
on it.
Yeah,
Your stamp.
exactly.
Yeah.
Some people might watch our show and go, "Wow, that sounds very similar to this show." And it's like, well, it's unfortunate that you think that way, but I hope people, listen to us and also listen to all the other movie podcasts out there because
You're gonna get something different from all of them.
exactly that. I mean, listen, me myself, I listen to so many podcasts that do movie reviews. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had Justin from Epic Film Guys. He pretty much he does a lot of horror films, but he's been doing it since 2014. We got some other guys from other podcasts that are going to be coming on the show within the next couple months. That it's awesome to be able to reach out to those people who've been doing it for a long time and then want to be on our show. And it's like, why? Like I feel like we haven't done anything yet to deserve that honor, but it's just that's what's so great about about the podcasting community, at least what I've been seeing from these movie review podcasts, is that everybody's supporting each other. Like I'll go
Yeah.
on Twitter, like on the Dissect That Film Twitter, and I'll just go through and share or retweet all the new podcast episodes from all these podcasts because I want people to see these podcasts and not just
Yeah.
focus on myself. I want people
And
to
that's
watch our show, but I want people to also watch theirs because everybody has their own interpretation on how to review films.
that's exactly, I mean, I treat the streaming and stuff the same way. Like I gotta be out there doing this and doing that because I want all the people to watch me too. But if you don't like me, that's fine. You might like these people.
Right.
And if these people do well, that's just good for everybody, man. It's just even if you like me and like that, you may be able to learn from each other, grow from each other. There's nothing wrong with sharing the love with everybody who does what you do.
Exactly. It's we're all one big family. And
That's true.
I think if people aren't looking at it that way, then then you probably shouldn't be doing it at all because
Yeah, you should definitely at least reevaluate the way you're looking at things because
exactly.
that's why I got out of music in the local area that I live in. It was very toxic. It was very selfish. It was very clicky. And I don't think, a lot of those, like, we would play a gig, and it's like this production company would come in and like, hey, you guys want to play this show? It's a metal and punk show. Sure do. It'll be fun. And then you get there and there's 15 bands playing. Everybody gets 20 minutes.
Mhm.
And then after the first band plays, they leave and their fans leave, and it's just so on and so forth. And it's
Right.
like, that's not the way this works. Like, why are we doing this?
Exactly. You
And I think to come over to Twitch and just get this warm, like, that's how I thought it might be at first, but just this warm, embracing hug of people who are like all on the same page, man. It's incredible.
Right. And it's, of course, it always feels good when somebody, goes out of their way to just tell you like, "Hey, I really enjoy what you're doing." You
It
know,
feels, it's humbling.
because that's why we do it. If it was one person who watched our show every week, one person, and that was it, I would still make the show every week because I
Exactly.
know
Yep.
I'm better. I'm trying to, because that person could be having a terrible, like, his life could be in shambles. He could be having a terrible time, but listening to our show puts that little bit of happiness inside him for
I'm right there with you.
an hour and a half to 2 hours long. And that's what it's all about for me. I don't do this for money. I don't make any money off doing this show. I do it because it's a passion of mine. Because I've been watching movies since I was a little kid, with my grandma showing me movies I shouldn't have been watching at a very, very, very young age. And to be honest, this show is kind of a tribute to her because she's the one who introduced me to she introduced me to Jaws, which is, for
Your
anyone
favorite
who
movies.
doesn't know, who hasn't been watching this show for the last year, is my favorite film. And it's because of her, showing me at 3, 4 years old, in the fact of like, hey, this movie is supposed to make you afraid of sharks. But for me, it was like
You were intrigued.
I appreciated, that I knew that this wasn't reality, but the way I understood filmmaking, like, in a different perspective. Like, you watch the movie, and I was all about like, okay, I want to know how they made this. And
See, you're where I'm at with music. You watch movies in a totally different way than other people do. And that's exactly what I'm talking. That's you get it. You get it.
yeah,
And I get it. I get what you're talking. I get what you're saying.
right. It's it's one of those things where if you figure out, when you like, for, w- watching Steven Spielberg make Jaws back in 1975 and how difficult it was and all the craziness that they went through to make that movie, it makes you appreciate it more. Even when it's
Oh
like, man,
yeah.
that shark looks fake. Yeah, it does look fake. It was
It was
1975.
1975.
What do you want? Like, but the way that he was able to make that movie just makes me appreciate it so much more. And then he goes off and makes so many more great films. That's why he's my favorite director of all time, because he's made so many just iconic films. I mean, Jurassic Park is another one of my favorites where it's like,
Yeah.
who thought this could be a thing? And now look at it. It's a huge franchise.
Yeah, it's timeless. It's been around, what, Jurassic
Almost
Park,
30
25 years?
years.
I was gonna
Almost
say
30 years
20.
now.
Yeah,
So
it's
next year it'll be
crazy.
30 years. It's wild. But I mean, to be honest, I was similar to with music too. I was being obsessed with Van Halen, being obsessed with Ozzy. I would go to like the bookstore, and you go to the magazine section. They'd always have
Yep.
the magazines that were just dedicated to that artist. And I remember going
Yep.
there, and there was they had just I can't remember. I still have the magazine in a box somewhere, which I need to get framed. R.I.P. Eddie, fucking legend. But
It sits
yeah,
right here next to me every day.
yeah. I mean, Eddie Van Halen is what is probably, in my opinion, the greatest artist of all time. Like, just
The greatest, not even artist, guitarist, innovator, tinkerer,
mhm,
just a man that just embodied what it meant to be a fucking rock star,
yep.
and
Yeah.
just inspired not just one, two, three, but four generations of guitar players.
Mhm.
Like, who else could, he may not have been the most technically proficient or had the most, finger killing riffs, but he did. I mean, some of them are fucking mind numbing. But just to inspire 40 years of musicians, and
Yeah.
he's going to continue to do so well beyond his time, man. It's like, who else could do that?
Right. I mean, he just I just remember playing, there's some albums that people don't listen to probably as much as others when it comes to Van Halen, but I loved their last album with Sammy Hagar, Balance.
Oh yeah.
I love some of the guitar solos and just some of the riffs from some of those songs. Like, it was unbelievable that the talent of this man. But yeah, I would go to Barnes and Noble or any bookstore. I think we had a Walden Books in our mall, and they had a magazine that was just dedicated to Van Halen. It was the history of Van Halen, and of course I buy it because it had, of
Yeah.
course, it had the cover, it had the Frankenstein design on the cover, so it even made it just made it cooler. And I remember in 2004 when they went on their reunion tour with Sammy,
Yeah.
and I got to see them twice in 1 week, and I got a pick with Eddie Van Halen's signature on it. It was, like, one
Oh
of the ones he
man.
used that had, like, his signature kind of
Yep.
engraved into the pick, and it's still, like, one of my prized possessions. It's still in, like, a little box in a drawer, like, it's safe.
Yeah.
Nothing will ever happen to this.
It's the pick of destiny now.
Oh, absolutely.
No, that I mean that was a game changer. Like I got into guitar before I got into Van Halen. Like that I knew like Running with the Devil, whatever. I was a kid,
Right.
but like that's like him and Alex Lifeson and Eric Johnson just completely changed it from a hobby to an obsession. Like just wanting to, because you're never gonna be as great as those guys, and I don't want to learn what they do note for note, but
Right.
to introduce things from their bag of tricks to help me turn into the guitarist and I mean musician I am today is I mean losing him was it's still to this day can't believe like I knew at some point in our time you have to lose some of those people but I mean
Right.
it his man that sucks.
Yeah. That was a big loss to, to the music world, as, he just epitomized what a guitarist was all about, like,
Yes.
being just a musician was all about. Because he just, like, there was never, I don't think I ever heard anyone talk about, like, a man, I don't really think he was that good.
No,
It
it is
was People praised, I mean, he might have been, I've, from the history of Van Halen through the years and the way he was a very obsessive person.
yeah.
He always wanted to make music, and which he always did. He was always in the studio making music, even if the band wasn't there. And
Yep.
he was very, like, adamant about, hey, once this album's done, let's move on to the next one. It's like, hey man, we got a life. Like, we got other things going on. And that's why, like, the original, like, David Lee Roth, like, he went off and did a solo thing because, he wanted to do his own thing. And Eddie was like, oh, well then whatever, go do
We well
that.
and I mean, people might speak of those times as like ill decisions, but to me, it comes out of a place of just how obsessed and how dedicated he was to his craft. It
Exactly.
didn't. He may have been blinded by the obsession and not been able to take in other people's opinions and thoughts and feelings. But I get it when you click and you get that zen state of writing and playing and touring. It's just it consumes you and I mean, I get it. I totally do. So it's like, all right, well, you want to go do a site? Well, we got to bring in somebody else because we need to keep this train rolling. So I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, it's like it goes beyond. He changed the way that people played. He changed the way people performed live. He changed the way amps were made, the way guitars were made. He invented so many things like the D tuner, and he helped inspire, like helped pioneer the Floyd Rose Bridge and hot rodding your guitars and spray painting them. I mean, the dude just did something like the line of amps that are being built now because of the way he tinkered as a kid. Music as a like modern metal wouldn't be what it is without him.
Nope. Sure wouldn't. Definitely,
I could
definitely.
talk about Van Halen all day, man.
For
Like,
another show, we'll do something else, man. But yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I can talk for days about Eddie and Van Halen as a whole. But we're gonna switch it up, and we're gonna talk about movies, since this
movies,
is
okay,
this is a technically a movie podcast. So do you remember the first movie you saw in theaters?
I do. It was 1993. So I was 6 years old. My dad took me to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 in theaters.
Ooh, the
The one
best
that I think that's
one that
the
some
one
would
in
say.
Japan. Yeah.
Turtles in Time.
I will never forget that. It was like the first experience in the theater, and I mean, I loved the Ninja Turtles. I don't remember too much of that movie to this day, but that was the first one I ever saw. The first one I remember seeing. They may have taken me when I was like a baby or
Right.
something, but I don't remember. But that's the first one I vividly remember going to.
W- So what is your favorite film?
My favorite film. Wow. That is a tough one because there's a lot of like I have a wide variety of things that I like. Um Man, let me I mean, my favorite film, I think I've talked to you about it before. It's probably I'm gonna have to go with Almost Heroes by Chris Farley with it. Well, not by, but the Chris Farley movie, Almost
Right.
Heroes.
Which is definitely, I don't know if I've ever I don't think I've ever seen that answer, like, from anyone. When you talk about, like, what is your and especially when you even if you're just talking about what's your favorite Chris Farley movie, Almost Heroes is a very, like, obscure film because,
It is.
it was Chris Farley's final film before he passed away, and it didn't do well. It didn't do well in the box office, and it just kind of it bombed, and people kinda just wrote it off like, yeah, I mean, well, let's remember Chris for Black Sheep and for Tommy Boy and for, was it Beverly Hills Ninja?
That's
And
another one. That's a close
yeah,
second.
and SNL, of course, that's where he became,
Yeah.
mega famous, but,
I think people gave him an unfair reaction to the film because he tried to do something that was still Chris Farley. But I mean, if you look at Black Sheep and Tommy Boy, those are the same movies, just wrote differently. They're the same
right.
characters.
Yep,
It's the same journey that they like kind of thing they go off on.
yep,
So I think people wrote it off because it was a break from the norm of what Chris Farley was doing. But it
exactly.
really, I mean, if you really watch it and watch it again, he's still Chris Farley.
Oh, yeah.
Just he didn't have David Spade with him.
To
Or
be honest, I
like
enjoy Almost Heroes.
it's to me again. I've talked to you about it before, even like in streams and off off air and stuff. It's just to me to have that cat like again. I'm not dogging Matthew Perry. He's a great actor for television. But when you can carry a movie and maintain my interest as a comedy for 90 minutes with Matthew Perry as what's supposed to be the lead of the movie,
Yeah.
like and to make it a comedy, Chris Farley carried that movie, and it for like I I'm sad it was his last film, but I'm like I can like for that to be his last film, I'm okay with because I thought it really showcased his talents to carry a movie, not even as the lead of the movie.
No, I agree. It's definitely a hidden gem that I think not enough people have seen. I guarantee you could probably go to a lot of people and ask them about it, and they won't even know what it is. I
Yeah,
mean, that's how obscure this movie is. I remember, I think the last time I had seen Almost Heroes was they showed it, I think, on Comedy Central. I think they were having, I think it was the anniversary of Chris's death, or it was his birthday or something like that, and they did like a whole Chris Farley marathon.
yeah,
And of course that was on it, and I remember watching it from beginning to end. And I remember renting it when I was a kid. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, I love Matthew Perry because his Chandler's my favorite character from Friends, and so I was like, oh hell yeah, I got Chandler and Chris Farley. Like, let's
yeah.
go. Like, this got to be good. I mean, it's not the. I mean, it's such a weird concept for a movie to have those two guys in.
It
It's like,
is.
isn't the guy sits down? They're like, listen, let's make a movie where these two, where you got this really straight laced guy and this bumbling idiot. They have to go try to get to the West Coast before Lewis and Clark.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And that's
who do you got in mind? Chris Farley and Matthew Perry. They're like, all right,
but if you think
sure.
about it, it works. It works so they work so perfect together in that
They
movie as
do.
a wannabe Lois and Clark. Like it's
It's so
perfect.
good. It's so good.
I'd like to figure out whoever cast that movie and shake their kiss them on the lips,
Right?
probably.
I
But I mean,
mean,
if we're gonna break away from that, I mean, I kind of I'd have to say two favorite movies, and the others, it's the Karate Kid. I mean, it's a classic.
the original.
It's just
Let's just
the
state that,
original.
not the Jaden Smith one.
No, 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 no. That doesn't count. That is not an actual Karate Kid movie. I
That's
mean,
not a movie.
although Jackie Chan did a great job. He tried.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Karate Kid movie just, I mean, really anything Ralph Macchio is in is pretty decent. But it's just, we all go through that. We all had those struggles as a kid and in life and the trials and tribulations you go through. And everybody loves an underdog story. And
Exactly.
it's another one of the favorite. It's another one of the classics that I love to watch repeatedly.
I mean, that's the thing. Like with the Karate Kid, I mean, that franchise is still going strong today with, you got Cobra Kai
So good.
with those, the original characters still, doing their
They keep
thing. And
finding ways to sneak new original characters in and make you go, ooh,
you're
sweet.
right.
Like I remember, I
Right.
know what's coming now, and it's great. They're doing a fantastic job with it.
All right. Well, we've heard your favorite films. Now, I need you to dig deep and tell me, what do you think is the worst movie you have ever seen?
The worst movie I have ever seen. Oh man, this film that I watched a year and a half ago called Wiener Dog. It was not. That movie fucked me up. You're laughing over there. I think you've seen it.
I don't even want to know, man, but I'm looking it up on IMDb right now.
It had Danny. I was pitched to me as, oh, it's a movie about a wiener dog and it's got Danny DeVito. Sold and sold.
Is it a short film?
It's
Is it called Wiener Dogs?
yeah, no, it's just Wiener Dog.
Oh, Wiener
Let me.
Dog.
It's a 2016 film.
Oh, I see it.
It had Greta Gerwig, Danny DeVito, Julie Depley, and Tracy Letts. Not a Kieran Culkin was on it.
Had an Academy Award winning director in the movie as an actress, Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
Wow.
That movie fucked me up because we had just gotten our wiener dog and we just moved into this house and somebody was like, oh, you got to watch this movie. It's great. And it fucked me up.
So was it bad in the sense like you watched it and it was just like, this is just terrible filmmaking, or is
It
it
was
just one of those movies that kind of
terrible.
fucked you up?
It was terrible in every aspect of what a movie could be bad at. The Danny DeVito role made no sense. I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody, but it was just the dog bounces around all these different places. And then at the end of, like, again, I don't want to spoil it. It was so dumb. And it was like, I just wanted to watch a fun movie with a wiener in it.
That's the thing, is like, why I always wonder why when people make a dog movie, like a movie about a dog, that it has to be a story of a dog bouncing around to different places. Like
Or dying.
or pet like, for me, I don't like movies about dogs. I don't, because Marley and Me fucked me up.
Same. Dude, me and the lady were going to go to the movies last month and watch the new movie Dog. And she's like, I can't. And I'm like, I can't, because if the dog fucking dies in the movie, I'm raging.
It's just, yeah, no, we don't. I mean, we understand that's how life works.
Yeah, we
You
don't
know,
need to see a dog die because that's real life.
right. I'm gonna experience it. Hopefully not for a while, but at some point, I'm gonna go through that dark time, and having to say goodbye to my dog. It just, I don't need to see it on the screen. Where a dog, I've seen, I've only known this dog for 2 hours, but
I
then
fell
it's
in
just
love
like,
with it.
oh, we got to show this 20-minute scene of it being put down. You're like, stop it, man. We don't need this.
And we watched that Hachiko a couple months ago. That one messed me up too.
Oh, is that the one with Richard Gere?
Is it? Hold on.
Is it? I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Richard Gere. Yeah, Richard Gere.
Okay.
Where the dog waits for that one.
When the dog waits for the owner, and then
now he's got a
the owner dies.
Well, yeah, I mean that movie's like 20 years old, but
yeah,
that one got me good too.
Yeah, pet movies, they're just not for me. I don't get excited about them anymore. Like the dog movie that with Channing Tatum that just came out. It looks good, but it's just like, yeah, I don't want to see it because I know. I mean, I hope not, but I feel like it's just gonna that's how it's gonna end, and I don't want to go through that emotion. All right.
Yeah.
I'd rather go through a story where like you're connected to this one character and then he dies at the end. like a human character. But when it's a pet, man, it's just like it's a whole different ball game.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it at all. I love pets too much.
Yeah.
But that's by far my least favorite film is Wiener Dog. I hated it from beginning to end. Almost as bad as I did not like anything after Fast and Furious 3.
Oh boy. Let's talk a little bit about the Fast and Furious franchise. All right.
That is my most favorite and least favorite film franchise at the same time.
So as of this recording, they just announced the logo and the
10, yep.
title for Fast 10, which is just Fast X. And
X.
all I can think of when I see it is Jason X, which came out in the early
Yeah.
2000s, which was the 10th Friday the 13th movie that came out, and that movie was both great and terrible all at the same time. But boy, these movies are just how do we go from movies about just street racing to movies about like literally the last one, spoiler if you haven't seen Fast 9, but a car goes to space, all right? Ludacris
Yeah.
and Tyrese Gibson go to fucking space, all right?
They jump a car off like the Grand Canyon and then a stealth bomber comes and scoops it up while it's falling. You lost me. You lost me there.
Yeah.
Redbox made $18 off me because that movie sat in my DVD player unwatched after that for the next week while I processed how terrible it was.
Oh, it's on HBO Max, and I had to because I've seen them all, so I figured I might as well just keep going. I can't just stop right now. I just gotta keep going, and whew, they're just outrageous. They're just outrageous, and Vin Diesel needs to be stopped because he's the reason these
He's on a
movies. It's
rampage.
Vin Diesel and the people going to the theaters to see this movie, and it keeps making a buttload of money, and people are like, "Well, we got to make another one." It's like, stop, just
But I mean, one,
just
2, and
boycott it.
3 were so good. You went from the story of this undercover cop to the second one where he's in a different city, and then they introduced Tyrese Gibson, and it was just cool. Like those two played off each other well.
Right? Yeah.
And then number 3, like I loved the whole script flip over to Japan. Like the number 3 is one of my favorite movies too. It's and then they just lost me after that, man.
Yeah. They're like, how can we keep this relevant
It
and have
basically,
people
yeah, it
keep on.
turned into the Expendables.
Yeah. It's just it's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
I did like what they did though, like spinning off the Rock's character into the Hobbs and Shaw. I thought like you should take that crazy like Michael Bay aspect and keep it in the side series
Right.
and just I don't know. They're going a little too far with the core series though.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
rest in peace, Paul Walker.
right. Oh, 100%. I think, to be honest, that's when it just, they were trying to figure out ways to not include him. Like,
Yeah. To put butts in the seats without him in the movie.
yeah. And to be honest, I think my favorite part of the original The Fast and the Furious was the Brian character. I loved Paul Walker's character in that. And I loved Paul Walker from the early 2000s. I don't know if you remember the movie Joyride. It was it had him and Steve Zahn where they were being stalked
Oh
by a guy
man.
in a tractor trailer truck.
Yeah.
They were
Okay.
messing with him
Now
on a
when you
CB radio. Yeah.
when you say when Steve's on that, he's a fucking another
Steve
legend, man.
Zahn.
Oh, what's the name of that? I can't remember the name of the movie. It's him. I think there's Sarah Silverman, Jack Black,
Isn't it Saving Silverman?
Saving Silverman. Yeah,
Yeah.
that movie is so good.
Yeah. Steve Zahn was in so many. I mean, Dude, Where's My Car? No, that wasn't him. That was Shawn Michaels or
That was Sean William Scott.
Sean
Yeah.
William Scott. Couldn't think of his name. But yeah, I Paul Walker not being in the Fast series just kind of it doesn't feel as good. And just like why are these things?
No, that's like it's like David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar leaving, and then Van Halen trying to go on with Gary Sharon. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't work.
I mean,
Pull the plug.
I remember listening to that Van Halen 3 album and going, "What am I listening to right now?" I mean, Eddie's here, but who's this guy and why does this not sound right?
That was terrible.
There was like one, maybe two good songs on that entire album.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's still a Van Halen. I mean, then their newest. Well, we don't need to get into Van Halen more. That's for another day.
Yeah. So, what? I mean, Are you excited for any movies this year that haven't been released yet? Like, are you excited? Like, are you an avid movie watcher? Do you watch a lot of movies?
I really don't anymore because I feel like over the last like maybe 10 years, and it's the same with gaming and movies and music. Everything's gotten a little stagnant. Everything's reboot heavy.
Right.
So I've kind of lost some interest. And as much as I'm excited for like Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness and another to see what they do with all those I shouldn't say Spider-Man, not Iron Man. But I feel like superhero movies are getting crammed down our throat a little too much as well.
I can agree. As much as I love them, as much as I'm excited to go see Doctor Strange 2 and go see Thor 4 and go see all these super I feel you. Like, to be honest, if we went through an entire year without a Marvel or DC film, I would actually be okay with it because I think
Yeah,
it's just like we were talking about, like with me not releasing an episode of the podcast this week, which you will be getting an episode of a podcast this week, but it gives you that anticipation. You're like, you get super
yeah.
pumped. You're like, oh, I mean, to be honest, the superhero movie I'm most excited for is the newest Into the Spider-Verse movie, which actually got delayed to the end of last year or end of next year. So I'm like, hell yeah. I got all this time. I'm gonna be super excited once that movie comes out. When you're getting like 3, 4 a year, it's like, oof.
It's so many, and then you're getting like shows. Yeah, it's a lot. So I mean, I'm most excited for some of the Marvel stuff and least excited for it at the same time. I just want a break.
Yeah.
I
It
just want Jingle All the Way too.
oh, didn't Larry the Cable Guy?
Mm.
You do know that exists,
That
right?
that that was a movie. You are right, and so was
Yeah.
Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, the child
It was
one,
a
and
pet it
Son
was
of
Ace
Mask.
Ventura. Oh, Jesus.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I
We don't need
forgot
any
about
more of
that.
those.
I
We
want
don't
to
need
Jingle All the Way again with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I
yes.
should
I was
say
gonna say, no, we don't need a Larry the Cable Guy, another Larry the Cable Guy jingle all the way.
we don't need another anything with Larry the Cable Guy.
Let's talk a little bit about a movie that you told me you actually enjoy, and you might be on the show to talk about it, but is a little film that came out back in I believe 1993 called The Super Mario Brothers the movie.
I mean, what is there to talk about? I mean,
W-
it's a fantastically terrible movie. It's so bad. It's so good. It's bad, and so bad. It's good.
It's one of those things where you're wondering if the filmmakers of that movie were on real just so many drugs when they wrote that
You were.
script.
It's also one of those movies. If you wonder if when they pitched it, they ever actually looked at a Mario game, like
No, they pitched it as they pitched it as like, "Hey, have you ever played Super Mario Brothers?" And like, "Yeah." It's like, "We want to make a movie based on that." And they're like, "All right, cool." And then when they gave him the money and they made the movie, and it was like, "Well, it's too late now." And it's like, "Here's what we
we
got." It's
got to
like,
do it.
this has nothing to do with anything." This is,
What's the messed up part too is Bob Hoskins and what is it?
John
Leguizamo.
Leguizamo. John Leguizamo. Yeah.
Leguizamo. Those two are so perfectly cast for Mario and Luigi. And how did you deviate that far from what it could have been? I mean, it was still great though.
Right.
It
It
still
was. It
managed to be
really
great.
was. It really was.
I
Um,
get fired up. I could anytime I go to a flea market or a garage sale or anywhere where stuff's for sale and I see that fucking I see Hoskins and John standing their legs together and I gotta buy it. I don't care if it's a nickel, I don't care if it's $1, I don't care if it's $100. I'm buying it. I want every copy of the Mario movie.
I got it back here.
Bring it out. There it is.
I don't know how long I've had this DVD, but guess what, guys? According to the Washington Post, it
It's
said
a blast.
it's a blast. And the tagline is "This ain't no game. It's a live action thrill ride."
Oh, it's a live action something, and I will forever appreciate what they tried to do.
And according to 60-second preview, it's an eye-popping special effects.
That is, it's about as eye popping in special effects as it's Ray Charles could make eye popping special effects.
Oh God, Dennis Hopper was in this same movie too.
He was
Oh,
somehow that's where they spent all the money.
don't worry. The year after, he was the villain in Speed, which he redeemed himself for that. But But I mean, we're definitely gonna be covering the Super Mario Brothers movie on the show. I mean, I love as much as it hurts to watch movies like this because they are bad. Talking about them on a podcast is so
It's
much
great.
fun. I had to endure 6 weeks of watching the Resident Evil movies, and they're bad. They're all bad. I don't care. They're terrible movies, but I got to sit down with my friend Piggy and my brother, and we got to talk about all 6 of those movies, and it was a blast to do it. It's so weird to
And
have
see,
such fun talking about crap movies.
and that's where I will say that a bad movie could be great. Like, but people, why do you like Super Mario Brothers? Why is it a good? It's not that it's a good movie, but it's a movie you could sit down and have a fucking 2 hour conversation about.
Exactly.
And that to me makes it a good movie because maybe it's not a good movie, but you're getting good memories from it.
Right. That's the movie where, like, if me and Dark lived closer, I'd call him up and I'd be like, "Yo, we're gonna review Super Mario Brothers on the show this week. I'm gonna come over. We're gonna watch it together, and we just talk through the whole movie because we've already seen it, but we're gonna commentate on just all the dumb shit that's going on in this movie, and it just makes it such a great experience."
Exactly. Are we going to do this before or after we plow through the Hot Ones challenge?
Oh boy. Well, we'll have to figure it out. You know what? We might. If I ever make it out your way anytime soon, maybe that's when we do this movie. I'll bring it with me, even though you probably already have it, but I'm gonna bring my copy with me, and we're gonna do the challenge. And you know what? We do it at the same time.
I mean, and if
We
you want to do, if it's easier for you, I can come out to any weekend. I looked it up where you're at. It's a 7 hour and 40 minute drive. I could make that in a Friday morning.
we'll figure it out, man. It's gonna be, just I gotta run it by the wife.
Well, for sure. I got, but
She's
I will say I've got weekends sectioned off here. I'm going to Indiana. I'm going to see John. I'm going to see lots of people. We can add you on the list, man. I'd love to come out.
sounds like a plan, man. We'll figure it out. Well, we are a little over an hour. I figured that's a good spot to stop. I don't know if you got anything else you want to add before we get into like all the socials and it kind of plugging in, all that
Oh,
stuff.
you're anything before you roll out the red carpet for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Would be to let me ask you a question,
Sure.
and that would be to like where do you see yourself going here in the next couple of years? Because I want to hear what kind of ideas you got cooking. Because this was an absolute blast. I love watching your I love listening to the podcast and watching the film dissections. What's got you ticking? What are you excited about coming up, man?
I'm just excited to keep going, doing what we're doing. I think the biggest thing for me is always the fact that, like, it would be so nice to be able to do the podcast, with, to be able to be near, DNA Gaming and be able to like do it in person where we're together doing the show. I think it would be really cool, which is kind of a goal for me, is to be able to do a show like that. Not, of course, it would only be like once in a while since they live, very far away. Um, but it's to kind of branch out and do some other stuff, like, hopefully if we're still around in the next 3 years, we got the 50th anniversary of Jaws, and I don't live very far from where they filmed the movie. And my ultimate goal is to be able to do a live show in Martha's Vineyard for the 50th anniversary of Jaws. It's a weird thing to want to do, but I really wanna do it. Like, I literally wanna do a live podcast,
Be awesome, man.
like, on the dock that, the 2 fishermen were trying to freaking catch the shark with the
Yeah.
dude's wife's big roast, you know, even if it's there anymore, but,
See, you're getting fired up and you're
I
excited
know,
about it.
I'm
That's
so
why I
pumped,
wanted to
man.
ask you that. Is I love when people are passionate about something, and I love seeing their
Yeah.
reactions and talking about it. It gets me fired up.
I think also, bringing more people on the show, like yourself and others that either do similar things to what you do, or, people who do completely other things. Like, we've had we've had guests on the show, um, but it wasn't in the vein like this. We had Justin from Epic Film Guys, a big podcast that I listen to. We had him on the show to review a movie, and hopefully we'll be having him back really soon. But to just bring people on, I just want to branch out and meet, new people and have them on the show and maybe be on their show and kind of to just kind of, spread out and get our show into more people's ear holes and, hopefully their eyes, once, we get out of the shadow realm of YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever get to the point where you're doing something like this and you have a studio set up to bring people in, I would love to come and be there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the ultimate goal. Hopefully we're going to be looking for a new place within the next year because we had our third child and we don't have enough rooms for
I,
said
I get
children.
it.
So we need to
And
go a little bit
congrats
bigger.
again, man, on the
Thank you.
addition to the family.
Thank you. So yeah, so my ultimate goal is to be able to find a place where I can build a studio because there are other things that I want to do other than just doing the podcast. As I stated before, my passion, I love singing and I would like to do, vocal work and, be able to contribute to, music that Dark makes and maybe, do some stuff like that. That's
I'd love to have it,
definitely
man.
personal goals, not that nothing to do really with the show, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
what
mean
I
it's
was
just
asking, it doesn't even have to be the show, man. I want to know what fires up Parker right now.
It's just continuing to do what I enjoy doing. And
That's a
I've
great answer.
been for the last year, I've been having a blast doing the show. I think my mental health has improved a lot since doing the show and kind of putting certain things on the back burner. Unfortunately, with me stopping my normal streaming that I was doing before, the community that I had built kind of crumbled. I still have people that are around, that do support me and are still around, but unfortunately there are some that, kind of disappeared and it is what it is. It is just how, you know, kind of how it works. But you kind of have to go into the saying, with the mindset of like, if it gets too much, you got to take a step back. You got
Oh
to
yeah,
take those breaks you know, and you got to, even if you don't know when it's time, if somebody is telling you, "Hey, man, maybe it's time to take a break," listen to those people because they're there not to, take anything from you. They're trying to help you.
exactly. No, I've had that. I've had that told to me before,
So
and it's why I took so many breaks.
I mean, that's ultimately it. Is just, for me, it's just to continue doing what I'm doing and continuing to enjoy it because it's when you stop enjoying it is when you should probably stop doing it altogether. Because
Yep.
what's the point? Don't continue to do something just because, somebody is, telling you to do it. Do it for you. Do it because you want to, not because you have to.
That's when the best content comes, is when people can latch onto it and you can build it around something that you're enjoying. People feed off that enjoyment.
Mhm. 100%. And I appreciate everybody's support on the show the last year. If it wasn't for all the support, I don't think, I'd want to keep doing it. It's the fact that I have people in my corner that are just like, "Hey, man, this is great. I'm happy for you. Keep doing what you're doing." And that's all it need. That's all I need. Just one person to kind of give me that reassurance, like, "Hey, what you're doing, it's really cool. Keep,
What you're doing, I can tell you right now, what you're doing is cool because I'm not a big film guy, but I watch and enjoy your stuff. And we're doing this thing tonight. This isn't in your typical realm of the content you create, but we've been sitting here gabbing now for a little over an hour, and it's just felt like it hasn't felt like an interview. It's felt very organic and very fun, and we could keep going for hours, man.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, literally, me and you play games. I mean, for hours on end, and we have all sorts of conversations, and we've grown, a lot closer over the last 2 years since we've met each other. I still remember that first day meeting you. Playing golf with friends, and it was kind of like, John comes in, and is like, "Hey, is it okay if this guy plays with us?" And I was like, "Sure." And I saw your name. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" That was literally me. Like I saw you, like I saw your name pop up, and John's like, "Hey, this is Darkraizard." And I was like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And it was like an immediate, like, this dude's cool because you came back and just the way that you sounded, I was like, "Man, this is a cool dude."
That was a life changing night, man. Coming in and getting to know Parker that night
And then it ended, and I was
over
like, "I
some
hope I
golf.
never talk to that guy again." No, I'm just kidding. No. But, yeah, I
Well, you're
mean,
stuck with me now.
yep, stuck with you. You're a brother. You're my brother. So, but yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end the show. Dark, plug all your stuff, man. Where can everybody find you? And also make sure to shout out your merch store since I am wearing. If you're watching the video on YouTube, I'm wearing Darkraizard's beautiful merch with his amazing logo with that beautiful mullet. I can't. I'm looking at the camera and it's not working right, but
It's just Dark Rays Art on every social: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook. It's all the same name: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. It's YouTube. YouTube is youtube.com/Dark Razor Gaming. Just Dark Razor for some reason was taken. I don't understand how, because it's not a real site. Um, but yeah, music is on Spotify. Everything else is Twitter is where I'm most active if people want to chat with me and hang out. Got a couple new albums will be coming out here relatively soon. And I got a subathon, mulletathon thing going on here on Friday the 29th. I'm really stoked about. I'll be over on twitch.tv for 12 hours that day.
oh boy.
12 hours of madness.
So if you didn't catch all that, all those links will be down in the description. So you can click on whatever one you want to follow this man wherever you want.
Yeah, yeah. If you guys follow me and you like it, I'm honored to have you in the community.
All I gotta
Uh,
say, yeah, I mean, all I gotta say is that if you're on Twitch, if you watch Twitch, you need to follow this man. You need to watch his streams and support him because he's a quality guy and he puts out amazing content. And he always like, even if I'm at work and I throw a stream on and I can't talk a lot, just hearing his voice and hearing him, just constantly talking to his chat, and there's never a dull moment in a Darkraizard stream. And
that's what I strive for, man. Is just having it's high vibes and fun the whole time.
yeah,
And for verification purposes, I don't. Will there be video of me or in this podcast? Is there video to this?
well, this will be on YouTube.
Okay. But what I need the people to know is because people don't believe me. It's 1 a.m. and the pit vipers and the headband are on.
Yeah,
They're never off. People don't get it. They're never off. They're always on.
he sleeps with
I
other
just
people. He
I do.
sleeps with them.
I do.
He's got to put it. He's got to put some protection on it so he doesn't crush them, because we got big heads and could damage him. But he knows
I
what
have
he's
a
doing.
pillow custom molded that my head just slides into so that I don't go left or right at
He's
night.
like when you put a toy back in the box, you put it in that plastic that's
Exactly.
already molded to the toy. That he's got a pillow just
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, that's how my bed is. I just lay in it. I don't move for 6 to 7 hours a night.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness, it's great. So thank you everybody for joining us. Make sure to drop a like, comment on the video, and make sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel. Follow us at Dissect That Film on pretty much everything. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I could not tell you the last time I made a TikTok on that channel, but hey, we have one. And we're on Twitch as well. We might do some more stuff over on the Twitch channel coming up. We're going to be recording our real episode 51 of the podcast this coming Sunday. We're going to be talking about the Lego Batman movie because we got 2 more weeks talking about Batman, with the Lego Batman next week and then the Batman the week after, which we might have a special guest for that one. Can't say who it is because it's not, they're not 100% sure they're going to be able to make it, but it's a very good chance they will. But just know that there might be a special guest for that. And then after that, we're not sure yet, but our poll, actually, I'll announce what film series won the poll on Twitter when for the Lego Batman episode. So make sure to to check that out. Other than that, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a little bit of everything, and I'm very excited to continue doing this. Doing videos in this format, and I'm definitely excited to have this legend back on the show. Dark.
I thank you so much for having me, man. It's been a black. I want to do it again. I feel like we only touched on so many things, and there's so much more to go on to.
It's so much, man. It's so much. But thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you do as as a friend and as just an amazing content creator. More people need to know who you are, and I hope that this will help a little bit more. And yeah, I mean, you're
That's the
always
goal,
welcome
and I
back.
appreciate it, man. And if there's
You
ever anything I could do for you guys, you please let me know. It'll be done.
Absolutely. I mean, I know I got your phone number. which I
That's
forgot
true.
I
You
had
do.
for a bit until I texted you. But
9 o'clock last night. Yo, man, you want to come get interviewed?
Hell
You bet
yeah.
your ass I
Hell
do.
yeah. All right, everybody. Until next time, I am your host, Brett Parker. That is Darkraizard. This is the Dissect That Film Podcast Special Edition. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.